So today is July 17th. Correct. Yep. 11:30. Everybody's in attendance. Aria Zayas, Chris Mills, Mark Taylor, and Kristen Kennedy. I don't think Tim's here, right?
Correct.
He's on vacation.
Oh, good. All right. So, in keeping with the ongoing emergency order from Governor Charlie Baker to limit gatherings and maximize social distancing, and under legislation passed to address remote board meetings during the emergency declaration, this meeting will be conducted over Zoom. Attendance by board members will be remote, and remote attendance shall count towards quorum. The meeting will be broadcast live and recorded on ECAP. To join a remote meeting using your computer, click on the URL link at the top of the meeting agenda, or copy and paste it into your browser. To join a remote meeting using your phone, call the number provided underneath the URL. You will be needing the meeting ID to join by phone only, and it's on the website under the meeting for today if you need that information. So first we need to approve the minutes from May 11th, 2020 and May 20th, 2020. Does anybody want to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes for May 11th, 2020, as well as May 20th, 2020.
Second.
All those in favor?
Zayas, yes.
Mills, yes.
LeBlanc, yes. And then we're going to move right into we're going to talk about the graduation next, Kristen, or do you want to just stay on the, get on with the variances?
We can go ahead and I guess we can go with the variances because we don't have representation from the schools. There was a conflict, so we might as well just continue to go in order.
Okay. So first we have 208 Massapoag Ave, Zenth Engineering, a variance for distance from the septic field to the well.
Okay. Under our local regulation right now, it's a 100-foot buffer for an irrigation well as well as a potable well. There is no difference. In Title V, there is actually a difference. An irrigation well can go 50 feet from a septic field. But this particular scenario, you have a irrigation well going 39.7 feet from a proposed septic system. So they're looking for relief from the local regulation, and they will need to file a variance. They filed the variance. I received the green cards. They notified the butters. And so we're looking, I recommend that we allow them to do the 39.7 feet from the well. Looking at the lot shape and the wetland lines and stuff like that, the system really needs to go where they're putting it. And it is an irrigation well, not a potable well. So I leave it to the board for questions.
I'm surprised there's wetlands up there. I mean, that's, wow. But no questions.
Okay.
I actually, and this is, I'm fairly certain it's a stupid question, but if there was any problem with the septic system being a little bit closer, would it cause any problems with the well? Right now, there's not a problem with the septic, it's sounding like, or the
Failed Title V, and the property is being sold, and they're actually putting in a new septic. And I know you don't have this in front of you. The old septic was in the backyard. This is going into the front yard. And that's where it's creating the conflict. The old septic was in the water table. The septic will be risen up out of the water table with the proper separation. They're using a Presby type system. So they are asking for reduced separation, but this portion of the thing has to be approved first, and then Kristen and I can discuss whether or not we allow them the variance for going to 2 feet to water table with the Presby system. Does that explain it for you, Lynn?
what's that? Go ahead.
Does that make sense to you, Lynn?
I'll be honest, I'm not quite, I'm going to defer to you and Chris, because I'm not sure what all of that meant, but it sounds to me like what you're saying to me is at this part of the vote really is not something we have to worry about because there's a second part to it.
Yes. What
Yeah.
they'll have to get an LUA, which Kristen will determine after this, but they need to do this
Okay.
first.
Okay.
And we see no challenges with approving this.
I don't, no.
I make a motion to approve the variance for 208 Massapoag Ave for the variance for the distance from the septic field to well.
Second,
All those in favor?
Zayas, yes.
Mills, yes.
LeBlanc, yes. Okay. And then the second variance on the agenda is for New Pond variance to have less cover over the field.
Okay, we're gonna have to table this to the next meeting because they were not able to get their abutter notifications out and their green cards to us before the meeting. So I explained that to the homeowner. He was trying to do it himself, and I explained to him that it needs to be done by the engineer. So he's working on that, and we'll slate it for the August meeting if they're able to do it by then. So if you could table it or just not have it today.
So do we need to we can just table it. We don't have to do a vote to table it, correct? We just have to.
Yeah, I believe you could just table it, Kristen.
Mhm.
Okay, so we'll table that. And then Kristen, do you want us to go into the next, the action discussion? Or do you want to talk about the graduation at Oliver Ames High School?
So we can just start going through the action and discussion items. First thing on there is annually after the election, it is customary and good practice to go over the board's organization and solidify the chair and vice chair positions for the coming year.
Okay. I don't have that on this agenda. Do you guys have that?
The chair is,
Can I make a motion to continue to keep Lynn LeBlanc as chair of the Board of Health? Is that what this
Yep,
is?
that's a motion.
second,
Awkward. All in
Chris.
favor?
So Chris seconded, and so now it's a roll call.
Zayas, yes.
Mills, yes.
LeBlanc, yes. That was awkward. Do we have to do the same for the assistant chair?
The vice chair, yes.
Okay. Do you want to do it, Chris, or do you want me to?
You can.
I make a motion to have Arbovirus remain in the position of vice chair of
Second,
the Board of Health. All those in favor?
Mills, yes.
LeBlanc, yes.
Zayas, yes.
All right, that was really different. All right, so now moving forward, we have the Mary OMalley body art license at Andrea Robere Salon and Day Spa on 285 Washington Street.
So the posted agenda actually has the Oliver Ames High School next on it. I don't know.
I think I have the agenda from Monday in front of me that I printed out, so my apologies.
That's
I did
okay.
as well.
If you want, I can go ahead and give you an update on
Yes,
so
please.
Oliver Ames is planning on having a in-person graduation. They have reached out to us. We have spent time and gone through the guidance being offered by DESE and the guidance being offered by the Department of Public Health as they pertain to graduations and the timeline. So pushing it off gave them the option of having an in-person graduation. We have worked closely and have come up with, I'll mention a couple of the key pieces to this. One being that each graduate is allowed 2 guests that have to pre-register, that are pre-informed, that if they're exhibiting any symptoms that they need to excuse themselves, there'll be screening. They're having the actual flow of the attendees arrive in 2 different directions alphabetically. they will be checked in, go through a screening process. As they go through the process, they then will be randomly assigned a numbered seat within the grid that's been set up. And the plan right now is that representatives from CERT, the Citizens Emergency Response Team, thank you, will be there as well. And they will escort the 2 guests of the graduate to that numbered seat, which will be 6 feet. The majority of them are going to be painted circles with 2 chairs in them that are spaced 6 feet away from the next circle. People will be instructed to stay in their circle. That's their assigned seat. They're not allowed to move. There will be some additional seating. They're looking at using some of the bleachers that they already have and dividing them up with other visual cues, tapes or paint or whatever, to make sure people are in the 4 corners and still have the 6-foot distance. They will be dismissed in a similar fashion once the graduation is over and the graduates have left. CERT will also help facilitate an exit pattern that allows people to remain socially distant and get out of the area. This is being modeled after a lot of the successful things that we did for town meeting at Stonehill, where CERT also played an integral part of escorting people to seats and instructing them that that's where they needed to stay for the duration. I think it's a good plan. I really appreciate, and they were very open to our input. And again, I really relied heavily on things that our town clerk had put in place for town meeting and done so successfully. So it was nice to have that resource to pull from. They have a rain date of the 2nd. I know they're going to the select board for some road closures at their next meeting, but the plan does seem to be moving along. And I welcome any questions you may have.
So what's happening with the students? I understand, the guests, they're in their circles, they're socially distanced. How are the graduating seniors? Are they being socially distanced?
Yes.
Are they still walking up and shaking hands with the principal and doing that whole thing?
Nope, there'll be no hand. So they'll be mustering at one of the other schools. They're arriving. Actually, I asked them to stagger their arrival times. Again, just another key piece that being able to have some input and a different look at the plan. So they're staggering their arrival times. They will be maintaining social distancing. They will parade over with the appropriate social distance. Their seats are socially distant. They will be able to walk across the stage. They will, I believe they're picking their diploma up off the table. There will be no handshaking. I believe the speakers everybody will be masked except when this is necessary. All the attendees, the parents, everybody will be masked. They are leaving the stage up for the week after the graduation and allowing people to then return to the school to get those family photos, to get those pictures that a lot of people will want, which is also a key point, so that nobody feels like they need to leave their seat to try to get the picture. They'll have the opportunity to recreate it. And we're in the messaging that's coming from Principal West Paul. There's messaging in there as well as far as being considerate of other people and using only about a 10-minute window and not trying to crowd. These are all things people are getting used to. Mm-hmm. And they just need, I think the framework to be laid out for them. But there will be no handshaking.
Great. Sounds like it's super organized and good to go. Yeah.
Everything was thought of. I'm trying to think of something that might not have been, but I really can't think of anything.
Well, if you do, we've got a couple of weeks. Like I said, they provided me their first run at it, and we had a couple of back and forths, took a lot of the things that we had learned by doing town meeting and incorporated them. Having the CERT team there is going to be a real, it's a real plus that our town actually has the benefit of, having adults that are uniformed, that are telling other adults what need to be done, as opposed to trying to have, underclassmen who normally would help with these type of events. So it's going to be nice. We have a real asset in our CERT team.
Yeah, it sounds like a great plan. And have the public been made aware of all this yet, or
I
is
believe
that-
notification was being sent out to the parents this week. We had anticipated being able to have this discussion on earlier in the week, and basically have put our or the board's endorsement on the plan. But parents are anxious to know what was going on, and I believe the email may have already gone out with the understanding that if we needed to tweak anything, the communication is there. They'll be providing updates as things move forward. So.
Well, great, thank you. It sounds like a really good plan, and hopefully this is the last time we have to have such a modified graduation plan, but.
Yeah, but just nice to, and just an opportunity for us to showcase the cooperation and the work that's going on between all of the departments to help make sure that things that are done in town are done safely. And hopefully our graduates will have, at least an experience they can call their own.
Right. And the speakers will go up, they'll wipe the mics between their speeches, and
correct. You also, the event is scheduled for 10 o'clock in the morning, and they are trying to keep it to an hour. So it is going to be kind of an abbreviated take on the graduation, but they are going to try to capitalize on it. It's later in the season. They're worried about heat, so they're going to try to keep it to an hour if at all possible.
Actually, they're really good about keeping it to about that on a regular year. So I'm sure that'll be doable for them, So that sounds great. And now I have the updated agenda in front of me. So now we're going on to did anybody have any questions or comments for the high school graduation? No. We're going to talk about Mary OMalley body art license at Andrea Robere Salon and Day Spa, 285 Washington Street.
So as you may know or not know, I'm pretty sure you guys have done a body art license since you've been on the board, that it's our regulation and that every body art parishioner must be licensed, approved by you before they're licensed by us. Mary OMalley, I sent her the agenda today to link in and stuff. She confirmed, and I confirmed the time with her. I don't see her on here, but I've reviewed her curriculum, which I can never say that word right.
She's
and,
on. She's
Oh,
on.
actually, she is. I'm going to promote her to panelist.
Okay, good.
The number, I apologize, Mary, we'll let you in a sec. I was watching the number and somebody else must have logged off about the same time she logged in. So Mary, you are muted and we cannot see you. If you want to unmute yourself, I can unmute you. Or I can try to. And then I think you have to share your video, Mary, but Mary, can we get a sound check? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Great. So I reviewed her courses that she's taken, because I can't say that word right. And same course that we reviewed for the owner of Andrea Robere. So we've already approved this course curriculum once before, so I didn't think it was going to be a big issue. I don't think it's a big issue to approve her to do permanent makeup, but I'd like her to introduce herself, tell her a little about yourself to the board, and then get approval from the board for this.
Okay, hi, nice to meet you all. I have been doing permanent makeup since 2017. November of 2017 is when I took my class, and I started working out of my own salon in Rainham right away. I since closed my business, and I started working at a doctor's office in Rainham, and he has closed due to COVID. I went to the same class as Andrea Robere, and her and I have been friends, and she told me if I ever wanted to, work with her, that would be an option. So I have some clients. I'm ready to work. I've done over 10 certified classes in permanent makeup. And I feel very confident that, I also have my first aid CPR certificate and my bloodborne pathogens license. So whatever that's called, the certificate. So, and I have my license to work body art in Rainham. And I've had that for the past 2 years or so.
Great.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
I'm nervous on these things.
Wow, that was so you were working in a doctor's office and they closed, huh?
Yeah, he, Dr. Govonlu in Rainham, he's a pain specialist. He does a lot of natural pain.
Mm-hmm.
He helps with pain without medication. So
Oh, wow.
he's been in business for a long time. He's also an anesthesiologist, but he was thinking about closing, and then after COVID, he decided that it was time. So.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Mary? I'm good as well.
Great. Then I make a motion to approve the variance for Mary O'Malley's body art license at Andrea Robere Salon at 285 Washington Street.
I second the motion.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Zayas, yes.
Mills, yes.
LeBlanc, yes. Thank you so much, Mary. You're all set.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too.
Too. Next on the agenda, we have the novel coronavirus COVID-19 update.
So as many of you are aware, cases do continue to rise in most of the United States. We're fortunate that, we're New England in okay shape. We are in town. I did not have a chance to run the report this morning, but earlier this week when I checked, we've had 2 positive corona cases this month. Last month was 11. The month before that was 44. And the month before that was about 200. So Easton in general is heading in the right direction. We're all a little concerned about there's a lot of different things that are going to be impacting us going forward with the opening of schools, with the ramping up of some of the athletic contests that are going on and allowed now under phase 3. So we have, reason to everyone out there really still needs to be careful and cautious. And the masks are a huge part of that. Social distancing is a huge part of that. I think we are in a good position in that not opening the bars and the fact that the governor has been so adamant that that's just not even on his horizon right now, because we've seen what that's done in other parts of the country. We've seen that once, that kind of gate goes down, what has happened. We're still in phase 3, part 1, step 1. And we're, watching the numbers very closely. We are working with, and we're involved with, obviously the school consulted with us before they put out the graduation piece. We're working with them and trying to make sure that there's alignment between the Department of Public Health, school health, which deals with the school nurses being in the schools and their responsibilities, and making sure that aligns with all the other recommendations, as well as the pieces that DESE's trying to put in place. We want to really make sure we have a strong presence in making sure that those two align, and that our school nurses have all the tools and the supports and the protocols that they need. That's one of our biggest concerns. In addition to, I'm on the facilities group where we're being involved in, laying out the classrooms and the spacing and how some of the messaging is going to be put forward. So there's a lot going on with that. Stonehill has asked, I had a meeting with them. I'm trying to think, this week is bleeding together. I believe it was the beginning of the week. I had a meeting with Stonehill. And we were able to run through some of their plans. Again, they're doing the same thing. They're trying to plan for every contingency, but with the hope of getting the students on campus and being able to get through to at least the fall, at least to Thanksgiving. And that's what I think across the country you're seeing most universities are doing. They're trying to get the students on campus with the intention of sending them home at Thanksgiving and having them finish out their semester and finals remotely after Thanksgiving, limiting the travel back and forth, limiting the students possibly bringing things back to campus or bringing things, back and forth by flying and moving around too much. In addition to that, I really
do you think the Stonehill, do you think it's the Thanksgiving piece is because they're anticipating a second surge? Or is that just based on where we are at now, where the rest of the country is at now? A culmination of all of the above?
Kristen, you're
on. So what I'm seeing is, as many of you know, I have a daughter who just graduated, who's heading off to college and is actually heading to Louisiana. And what we're seeing, pretty much, we have friends who have children who are going to Mississippi and to other areas. And this seems to be a trend pretty much universally across the country that I think it has to do with them knowing that kids want to go home for Thanksgiving, especially the ones that are farther away. It's that home, that family tradition, and they are probably going to fly home. But then them flying back, and the whole idea that, is it just easier and safer once they go home, let them stay there and let them, that way we don't have, as you know, the governor has imposed a 2-week quarantine on any Massachusetts resident returning to Massachusetts from any of these hotspots. So, it just limiting the exposure, limiting the amount of travel. And I do think it's a nationwide trend that we're seeing. And hopefully it will help. It'll just get them home, they'll stay home, and then they have a nice stretch that they're at home. Again, they're controlling their environment instead of having all these different points of exposure, getting to the airport, going through the airport, being on the airplane. Again, limiting the amount of contact that they have outside of who they have to have contact with.
Makes sense.
I just want to ask, can anyone hear my dog playing with the toy? Because I can keep myself muted if you do. No?
I do not hear your dog's toy.
Okay. I keep muting it because I'm not sure if you can hear, but she just got a new toy. And okay. Anything else on that? No, I will say my niece wasn't feeling well and had a teleconference with her doctor. He told her to go to an urgent care and she waited 3 hours in line. So I think that I'm not saying that a lot of people have coronavirus, but I think there's a backup again in getting the testing and to get seen by doctors that we didn't have like a month ago. So and it wasn't just where she's from in Cambridge. They called the suburbs around the city and they were all pretty backed up too. I don't know if you guys have heard anything. Okay.
And you and I had spoken earlier, and I did happen to drive by a urgent care in Harwich. In Dennis yesterday. And I saw probably close to 40 people lined up outside seeking care at the urgent care. So, I think that there is some gaps and some pieces that they're going to have to work out as far as making the testing readily available when people need it, since they're encouraging people to get tested for various reasons. If they're a contact, if they have an exposure, and again, if they don't feel well. So I think, and they kind of hinted on the call that I was on this morning with the Department of Public Health that that they are aware that there needs to be some changes and some adjustments, and you know, we're constantly making adjustments to try to do this better and to try to respond to the needs.
Do you think there'll ever come a point where the town will have testing supplies and, you know, it can be run through you or someone of the sort, or do you think it'll stay connected only to medical centers?
I don't anticipate that, I right now don't anticipate that we will be providing testing. I think, you know, because of just the nature of it, the doctor's orders, the equipment, the refrigeration, the pieces that are needed, I don't anticipate that we will, but never say never. I did hear on my call this morning, as you start to hear some of the, we're starting to hear nationally that the commercial labs are a little bit bogged down, and that the turnaround time is getting longer again on commercial lab testing. And Dr. Katie Brown stated this morning that we're not seeing as much of that in Massachusetts, that the turnaround times should still be pretty good. And that's because a lot of the testing being done in Massachusetts is not utilizing the commercial labs. We're using a lot of our tests that are being collected in state are going to the Broad Institute, which is MIT and Harvard. And a lot of the hospitals have come online and are able to do the testing in-house. So in Massachusetts, the turnaround is pretty much holding closer to a 48-hour turnaround time.
I think in some of those other areas, the reagents that you need to use to do the testing, they're in short supply for some reason, and that's what's holding back their testing, not necessarily the number of tests, but the stuff you need to use to get the results. So I don't know. Okay, are we ready to move on to the Arbovirus, Tick-Borne, and Mosquito-Borne illness? More good news.
More good news. So testing is underway. We're getting weekly updates. I don't know if any of you saw, but there was the first positive triple-E mosquito in Plymouth County, down in Carver this week. So, you know, I think we all kind of acknowledge it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So, you know, we are, one of the things we'll be doing in the next couple of weeks is ramping up some of our public notifications and just reminding people that that this is a danger that probably is coming, and that everybody will need to be aware, and start, again, just taking the same precautions that we're taking for COVID, you know, wearing your bug repellent, avoiding times when the mosquitoes are most active. Mark, did you have anything else, or?
No, I think you pretty much covered. You know, I agree with you. It's not if, it's when.
Also on the, earlier this week, our public health nurse had the other thing that's out there, she had 3 Lyme cases this week. So again, people just need to be really conscious and really aware of their interactions with the natural. I mean, everybody's dying to get outside, and it's great to go out and get fresh air, but it is really important that people use their insect repellents, that they wear long pants, that they take the precautions necessary to protect their health.
Oh, okay. So, anybody have anything on that they want to say? Nope. All right, let's move on to the Betterment applications. We have 3.
We do. Mark, I'm going to let you run these because you've got the folder.
I pulled this right in front of me, and I pulled up 2 Summer Street, because I don't have that folder in front of me, but I do have the other 2, Hayward and Highland Street. So 15 Hayward Street is looking for the $30,000 loan application, and everything is all set as far as their status with the town and everything else. So we're looking for a vote on that for 30,000, the 25,000 with the $5,000 contingency.
Make a motion to
Can we make-
approve.
Go ahead.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Zayas, yes.
Mills, yes.
LeBlanc, yes. Okay, let's get on to 71 Highland Street.
71 Highland Street is looking for more money than the last one. They're looking for a total of $52,100 to be approved by the board, and they are in good standing with the town at this time. Looks like their construction costs are going to be up around $44,000, and the rest is engineering, and they're rolling the fee application of $200 in with it as well.
I make a motion to approve the Betterment application for 71 Highland Street.
Second.
All those in favor?
Zayas, yes.
Mills, yes.
LeBlanc, yes. And then lastly, 2 Summer Street.
Looks like 2 Summer Street's looking for an additional increase of $5,614, which would bring their total to $55,656.60. I believe there's some work. That's what I overheard Tim saying, that there's work done, that part of a patio needed to be replaced and some concrete work done, part of concrete work to be done. So that increased some of the cost. So it'll be an increase from the former number of $5,614.
I make a motion to approve 2 Summer Street's increase.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Zayas, yes.
Mills, yes.
LeBlanc, yes. And then lastly, we have the inspector agent's report. Any complaints or anything?
Go ahead, Mark. I don't have anything additional.
Yeah, the only thing, we've had a couple of places, people complaining that sometimes it's patrons not wearing masks. We had one restaurant that someone went through the drive-through and they said the people in the restaurant at like 8:45 at night weren't wearing masks. I did go out to that particular restaurant. Everyone was wearing masks and gloves at that time, and I spoke with the manager and advised him that if we do find out that it could be an issue where they need to be, we educated them. Let's just leave it at that, that they need to have the mask on. And I told them why and why it was so important. He was very receptive, took down the time and said he will speak to the staff that was on at that time and make sure that they understand the importance of it. So that's all we really have this week.
We may be seeing a slight increase in some of these types of calls that Mark was talking about us responding to as part of the update on the website for the state this week. They did add basically a direct link that said if people have complaints about businesses, whether it's your hairdresser not wearing gloves or your drive-through worker not wearing a mask, that big bold letters, they should call the local Board of Health because we'll be happy to go out and take care of it. Yay. And they provided a direct link for our contact information. So, we're anticipating we may see a few more of these. As Mark said, usually it's a matter of education. It's a matter of just reminding people that, even though we're moving through some of the stages, a lot of the things that were put in place haven't changed. And they may just need a reminder. They may need re-education. They may need some reinforcement. And then generally, every time we're dealing with something like this, they're generally very receptive. And of course, everybody wants to do the right thing. So that's about it on those things.
Great. So if nobody has anything left to say, I'd like to make a motion.
Can I just ask one quick, I'm sorry, Lynn, can I just ask one quick housekeeping question? Would it be possible to make on the agenda, the insignia lighter or smaller? I really struggle to read the agenda. Is that possible?
We're working right now. So as you know, we have had to shift some responsibilities within the office. And that's a very good point. Hopefully next month you'll receive a packet much in the same way that you have in the past. We're in the process of updating and solidifying some of our standard operating procedures into documents that our new administrative help and the staff in the office can follow along with. And that's definitely one to add to the list, that watermark should become much more muted than what you were just showing.
Perfect. That's all I have.
No, that's good. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting for July 17th at 12:11.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Zias, yes.
Mills, yes.
Yes. All right, so it sounds good. Thank you. Stay healthy.
Well, be well.
You too.
Bye-bye. Thanks for all you're doing, Kristen.
Have a-
Bye-bye.
Bye.